The ancient Greeks were some of the most prolific inventors of the ancient world. They created amazing inventions such as the Archimedes screw, the water organ, the astrolabe, the crane, and many others that helped propel the civilizations around them into the next stage of human development. But one invention attributed to them is still a matter of debate among historians even today. The question is, did the Greeks have steam engines before the Industrial Revolution? It all started with this statue. In 1897, the marble statue of a seated Hercules was discovered in the Greek theater of Epidaurus. This statue was not special in any way when it was found, and it sat in the British Museum for years until someone took a second look at it. When researchers inspected it more closely, they found a set of pipes coming out from behind the statue's back. These pipes led to a set of gears and a drive shaft made of bronze. And then there was a small opening on the side of the base that would have allowed smoke to escape. The statue was re-examined again in the 1970s, and this time X-rays revealed an astonishing sight. Inside the statue was a hollow chamber filled with an elaborate network of tubes. At first glance, it looked like a very complex piece of machinery. Was this a kind of primitive steam engine? Well, we know that the statue was crafted in the 2nd century A, during the reign of the Roman Emperor Hadrian. The theater itself was constructed about 130 AD and was restored several times after that, so it could have been built up to 400 years earlier than that. It was until 1986 that archaeologists finally got a chance to inspect the statue without the glare of the spotlight. It was moved to the Acropolis Museum, where they carefully disassembled it. The team was able to examine the statue more closely without having to damage it or risk hurting anyone in the process. This is when the experts realized that this intricate mechanism had nothing to do with any kind of steam engine. There was no piston or cylinder or any other piece of technology that would have made this a functional machine. Instead, it was just a cleverly hidden display of pipes and valves that didn't actually serve any purpose at all. So, what was this contraption used for? Well, no one is 100% certain, but it does seem to be connected to the theater. You see, the discovery of the statue coincided with the excavation of a large underground system of tunnels beneath the theater. This labyrinth of passages ran underneath almost the entire structure and was connected to the various rooms backstage. Archaeologists believe that the pipes within the statue led down into this tunnel system. The statue of Hercules was placed directly over one of the entrances. It is possible that this elaborate system of tunnels and the statue itself were used to amplify the sound within the theater so that actors could be heard more easily. The idea is that the air would travel through the pipes and the hollow chamber within the statue before exiting through the small opening in the base. This would have forced the air to travel further and faster, creating a louder sound that would have echoed throughout the theater. But why put the statue of Hercules in such an odd place? Hercules was the son of Zeus and was considered to be the greatest of all Greek heroes. He was known for his strength and courage and was often depicted as a symbol of power. Putting a statue of Hercules near the entrance to the backstage area may have been a way of intimidating actors who were known to have affairs with the leading ladies. By placing this statue nearby, it may have deterred anyone from sneaking around backstage by reminding them that they were being watched. It would also remind any potential thieves that Hercules was there and ready to strike anyone who trespassed on his grounds. There are several reliefs depicting Hercules slaying various beasts that were found near the entrance to the tunnel as well, which supports the idea that the statue was meant to ward off intruders. There is some dispute as to whether or not these tunnels were actually used to amplify sound within the theater. After all, the ancient Greeks did not have any musical notation, so it's hard to say if they really cared about acoustics. The acoustics of the theater are actually quite good, thanks to the shape of the hill that the theater was carved into. The natural acoustics were likely good enough for their needs. So it is possible that the pipes and tunnels were just a clever way to hide backstage passageways, instead of being an actual attempt to improve the quality of the sound. But there is another possibility that has recently been proposed. We know that the ancient Greeks commonly used scent as a form of entertainment, particularly during theatrical performances. In fact, there is evidence that suggests that theaters were equipped with special devices known as scent apparatus that diffused pleasant-smelling liquids into the audience. These devices were usually placed near the entrance to the theater and released liquids when people walked past them. The idea was that the smell would linger in the air and help to create a more immersive experience for the audience. These scent apparatus were also used in temples and other public buildings, and they were often decorated with elaborate carvings. So it's possible that the statue of Hercules may have once contained a scent apparatus. This theory is supported by the fact that the statue is missing its nose, and statues without noses are often scent apparatus. Furthermore, the opening in the base of the statue would have been a perfect place to hide a container for the liquid that would have released the smell. If this is true, then the statue would not have been used as a sound amplifier at all. However, this discovery did spark interest in ancient Greek engineering, particularly as it pertained to steam engines. Many experts began to examine other artifacts that were discovered in Greece to see if they were related. One of the most interesting discoveries came in 1935 when a team of engineers uncovered the remains of an ancient Hero engine near the city of Athens. This engine dates back to the 2nd century AD, just like the statue of Hercules, and it is considered to be one of the oldest examples of a steam engine ever found. We know that the ancient Greeks had a fascination with mathematics and engineering, and they were some of the first people to study the principles of mechanics. They were also the first to use geometry to solve real-world problems, and they developed many tools that are still used today, such as the pulley and the gear. All of this makes it seem plausible that the Greeks could have invented a steam engine, but unfortunately, there is no concrete evidence to support this theory. Hero's engine was named after Hero of Alexandria, who was a mathematician and engineer who lived in the 1st century AD. He wrote a book called Pneumatics, which described many different types of machines that could be powered by steam. Unfortunately, we don't know if he actually invented these machines or if he was just describing machines that were already in use. His book was simply a collection of machines that were already in existence, including the Aeolipile, which is considered to be the first steam engine ever created. The Aeolipile was a sphere with 2 nozzles that were located on opposite sides of the sphere. Steam was blown into the sphere through a tube, and the pressure of the steam caused the sphere to spin. It was more of a toy than anything else, but it did demonstrate the power of steam. Another machine that Hero described was a type of windmill that could be powered by steam. This device consisted of a series of blades that were attached to a central shaft. As steam was blown over the blades, they would turn, which could then be used to power other machines. Again, this was more of a theoretical concept than an actual invention, since we haven't found any evidence that these machines were ever actually built. Another artifact that has sparked debate is the Rhodeos engine. This is a bronze figurine of a seated figure that was discovered in the ancient Greek city of Rhodos. It dates back to the 2nd century BC, and it is currently on display at the British Museum. The Rhodeos engine is a depiction of a mythical creature known as a genet, which was said to be half goat and half human. The steam engine was discovered in the ruins of a temple that was dedicated to the god Zeus, and it was likely used as a decoration rather than an actual machine. However, some experts believe that it may have actually been a working model of a steam engine. The genie is holding a staff in its right hand, and some believe that this may have been a pipe that was used to direct steam into the engine. The left sleeve appears to be pulled up, and this could have been done to allow access to the internal workings of the engine. Unfortunately, there is no way to know for sure what the Rhodeos engine actually is. It could be a decorative item, a working model of a steam engine, or something else entirely. So the question still remains, Did the ancient Greeks use steam engines before the Industrial Revolution? The answer is probably not. While the Greeks were brilliant inventors and engineers, there is no evidence to suggest that they ever created a steam engine. The statue of Hercules and the Rio's engine are both fascinating artifacts, but they are not examples of steam engines. The Hero engine is the closest thing that we have to a Greek steam engine, but it is only a depiction of machines that were described in a book. There is no evidence that these machines were ever actually built. The Greeks were fascinated by mathematics and engineering, and they made many advances in these fields. But the steam engine is not one of them. That distinction belongs to the 18th century. Thanks for watching. Do you think the ancient Greeks would have used steam engines if they had figured out how to create one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.